Howdy folks, I'm Brian and here's some Reddit. This is the update to Peegate that I promised folks. Well, I didn't really promise folks, but everyone kept saying how they wanted to see the update, so here it is. We'll get through it, hopefully. It's a long one, so sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself. Oh, and I'll also link somewhere up here the actual original story, so yeah, brace yourselves. Peegate update. The modmin team of Am I the Jerk agreed that my update was not up to standard with the subs guidelines and decided it would be best for it not to be posted there. A special thank you to SpiderGwen42 for telling me I could write it on my own page. I apologize in advance for the very long read. A lot of things happen. Here is a link to the first part. Too long, didn't read. P-Man is not moving in. Each section is divided and was written at different times throughout the last few days. I didn't want to overwhelm you and make you wait with 6,000 edits, so here's the whole story. So I showed Ted the post you guys suggested, and after reading some comments, Ted understood that he had done wrong by me, and that even though I was okay with it, it was still inappropriate of him and the whole family to be how they are. He apologized profusely, not demanding more of himself. His family and his brother, when the whole thing happened and that Ash moved in with us, was absolutely not going to happen. Being an engineer too, he asked for some professional contacts if there was a job opportunity for Ash. One of those contacts ended up being someone who works for the same company as Ash did and told Ted that Ash had not been fired and that he had quit, but that he was welcome to have his job back. Ted went to confront Ash about this. We live a couple hours away. While I was at work, I worked 2 jobs, one at night, 4 to 12, and one part-time job during the day, because I want to and it brings me joy, not because my husband is lacking in any way, and found some stuff that started a chain of events and truth unravelings that, to be honest, just make me more sad than anything else. Yeah, I know I'm being spineless again and should be outraged, but I'm just tired right now and I just want to sleep, but I've gotten enough nice and hateful messages that I figured I owe you guys some closure. I'm probably going to get some crap for sharing all this, but I don't care. This is a resumed, yet a still very long version of everything that happened in my original post. B stands for brother of Ted's. If I said wife X, please refer to the number of the brother, not that any of them have multiple wives. Brother 1, a doctor with some type of military background. Wife has 3 kids. Brother 2, a surgeon with a wife, 2 dogs, and a bearded dragon. Brother 3, an engineer, fiance, and a dog. Brother 4, teacher and researcher. Wife and 1 kid. Brother 5? Works in IT, not sure the details, but has a wife. Brother 6 is a doctor, single, and ready to mingle. Brother 7, a chef and a businessman, has a wife and 1 kid. Brother 8 is a car salesman, has a wife and 3 kids, and fishes. Brother 9, Ted, has a wife and a cat. Brother 10 is Ash. So I guess brother 9 is Ted and is her husband, so. And brother 10 is Ash, who is P-Man, for anyone who is not following at this point in time. I sat down with Ted to talk about everything you pointed out. He apologized immensely. We cried together, promised to do better. As you are now all aware, his family is complicated and not rocking the boat was embedded into his heart. We both agreed to go to individual therapy, and if both therapists suggest, we'll do couples, and then couples therapy too. He ordered a t-shirt that says, "The most okayest human in the universe," to cheer me up a bit. Anyway, Ted calls his connection and finds out that Ash didn't quit. He's angry about all the drama this is causing and goes to confront him. He goes into his place. Ash is not there. Ted has a key for emergencies. He goes in anyways and waits. he eventually has to go to the guest bedroom, and it's locked. So he goes into his room to use the bathroom and found a situation was the word he used when he told me. He calls me, tells me to stay home, and that he would be home later because he had to involve his family and didn't want to subject me to more than he had already had, which had me thinking the worst, but at that point I was just scared and told him to come back soon and to be safe. About 2 hours later, wife number 8 calls me, crying, and asks if I'm okay, and I say, I don't know, Ted just told me vaguely about the situation, and I haven't heard since. She asks if I want to know, which I did, and then starts off by apologizing and said she didn't know the whole story, that Brother 5 had read my post and called Brother 7 to complain about me sharing the story online. Apparently having your brother-in-law pee on your stuff isn't common enough that he knew it was our family by reading it. Brother 7 reads the story and says there's a few things about my version of events that sounds off to him. He contacts Brother 2, who contacts their mom, and by this point, they've all read it. I did have some missed calls from Brother 6 and Brother 2 that I didn't answer because I was working. Anyway, as many of you guessed, the therapist part of Ash's story was sketchy. Turns out that the therapist he had been going to was a friend with actually 0 training and just pretended to be his therapist so his mom would get off his back about it. He faked going to therapy, which his mom paid for about 3 years. My mother-in-law found out and kept it secret, which she excused by saying she had forgiven our other brothers for worse. All of this came to light because Brother 2 confronted her about Ash not apologizing to me because they were under the false impression that he had apologized and that I had forgiven him, since I have a track record of being a doormat and the fact that he was the best man. Which is why they were pushing him to live with us. They also didn't know that the territorial incident had been going on for months. They knew it was a few instances, but not as many as there actually were. Back to wife number 8. She tells Brother 3, Brother 4, and Brother 8 were coming because Ted had asked for help, which freaked me out, and she tells me to talk to wife number 1 because she could use some support. I hang up, and Ted has been calling me while I was on the phone, and he kept just saying he's sorry, and that his brothers will take care of everything. So I just tell him to spit it out, and that I just spoke with wife number 8 and didn't currently have the patience to be kept in the dark, and apparently Ash has some mental issues and absolutely despises me and had pictures of me on his bathroom covered in pee and man juice. He also apparently had some of Brother 1's daughter, 14. I honestly don't know what she did to him to deserve this. Ted, disgusted and enraged with this, goes into the bathroom and finds in his nightstand photo books that were supposed to be at his parents', which you can take a wild guess whose pictures were cut out and scratched off. All the comments about psychotic behavior were more accurate than I would have liked, which he drops out of disgust when he sees our wedding photo yellow stained. He goes to pick it up, and the cat is under the bed, frightened and malnourished. When he coerces her out, she is also covered in dry pee and man juice. At this point, Brother 6 calls him because I wasn't answering. Ted tells him what he found and that Ash is not home and that he had not taken the cat to the vet, and Brother 6 tells him to stay there until they found out where Ash is. They started calling each other. Brother 1 is furious, threatening to kill himself because of his daughter, which is the reason why he wasn't one of the ones to come. Now all of the brothers know, and there's a lot of feelings going around, raging from fury to concern that they don't know where Ash is. Ted calls his mom to confront her about lying and covering, and reuniting them. although she didn't know he was lying about the therapist when she reunited them. She cried and said she knew that Brother 1 through 8 had tormented Ash when he was little, and she had done nothing about it, and failed as a mother, and said that she had been trying to protect him now to make up for it. I do remember when we got married, my mother-in-law was very on top of Ash, and I thought she was just being motherly. Later, Ted told me that he also remembers his mom asking if it was a good idea to have him as a best man, which we were both too naive to notice as odd, as she has always pushed Ted to be present in Ash's life, which she told him in their confrontation that the more present Ted was in his life, the more stable he was. She had never told him because she didn't want to put that kind of pressure on him, Ted, and that by the time she realized he had been lying, he seemed fine and had outgrown his issues. After hanging up with his mom is when he called me to apologize and tells me all of this. I called out of my other job because there's no way I can go to work like this. I have a lot to think about, and I'll keep you posted. I called Ted and told him I was on my way there because someone has to take care of the cat. He said he didn't want me seeing any of that, but I'm honestly just worried about the cat, and at this point I'm just numb and wanted to feel useful. About an hour into the drive, I get a notification from our Ring, the doorbell that records people at your door, and it's a delivery of sunflowers, which are Ted's favorite flower. He is very secure in his masculinity. Please don't make this into a thing. I tell the delivery person to read me the card. With this type of doorbell, you can talk to the person at the door. And it's from Ash saying something along the lines of, OP, your wife did me dirty by sharing our problems online. Anything that comes from this will be on her. And I just broke down. I had to pull over and cry my heart out. I called my neighbor to please take the flowers and throw them out and send Ted a picture. And I just drove back to go to my sister's place because I honestly don't know what to do. I am so lost, and all of this is so messed up, and he had a huge family before any of this happened, and I feel like I lost a lot of people who I love that I thought also thought of me as family, but not even my sheltered version of the world can I see or justify any of the things that are happening right now. And I don't want to lose my husband, and I'm worried about the cat, and I'm scared Ashton is going to go and hurt himself, or maybe my husband, and I called wife 1. And she is so scared for her daughter, and I don't want her to be scared, but I don't have it in me to console her because I'm just as scared, and I rationally know none of this is my fault, but I am the common point between everything that has happened, and I just don't know what to do. I'm okay, or as okay as a person can be in this type of situation. I'm at my parents' house, and Ted is here too, and he brought me my cat, and life is less bad with a cat on your lap. Where to start? You'll probably have 1,000 questions by this point, and I don't know how to answer any of them since I've just been writing to post all of this. Maybe I won't post it at all and keep you all wondering. I will say both this situation and some of the messages I've gotten have made me lose some of my faith in humanity, but I guess that's the part of what makes us human. You want to know what's the worst part about all of this? I have legitimate peats, and I don't say that in a quirky way anymore. Every time I hear someone peeing, as in the pee hitting the water, I get this sense of dread in my chest and the world just becomes a little bit staticky. Going to the bathroom myself has been a whole experience. I had my first therapy appointment though. We luckily and tragically live in a world where you can just throw money and make things happen. Thanks, Daddy, for paying for an emergency shrink. That was an update of how I'm doing since some of you asked. But I'll get to the point and the reason why you're all here. What happened to Ash? After the flower delivery, I just couldn't deal with this anymore and made my way back to my sister's. Ted immediately left and came to me. Brother 6 is the one doing the coordinating of everything else. Out of all of my brother-in-laws, he is my favorite, and I don't care if the others see this. Most of them have been trashed to me at some point or other, and clearly 10 is taking the cake. I haven't had it in me to ask what's going to happen to Ash. I think he needs help above everything else. Brother 1 clearly thinks differently, and I guess he's trying to get the police involved since his daughter is a minor. I asked Ted to see the pictures. Brother 2 said to document everything, because I thought it would help. It did not help. It just raised more questions. But hey, I have a therapist now that can talk me through them. I guess right now I don't have anything more to say. I'm sorry to have wasted your time, but I'm sure this isn't over and I'll have more to say later. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Well, they found Ash. Brother 3, 4, and 8 showed up at his place, and he was there this time. Apparently, he hadn't noticed Ted had been there and didn't know about the stuff that was coming. Punches were thrown, yelling, more punches, and one appointment to the ER later, Ash is currently in a psychiatric hold being evaluated for a myriad of things. Ted's mom keeps trying to get in touch. I don't know if it's to apologize or to inquire what's happening, because in general, everyone is mad at her. But I'm done with her. I think this is the worst reality check a person could ever have, but I certainly have learned a lot about people and trust and families. From the information that we have, Ted's mom seems to have been right about something. Ted not being actively present in his brother's life is what brought on this madness. I guess with the pandemic and us keeping our distance is what started his decline. He'll have to work through that with whatever methods of coping they provide him with, because Ted has cut off about half of his family. Hopefully this time forever, since I really don't see either of us getting over this anytime soon. Ash's cat unfortunately didn't make it. That's something that I will forever feel guilty about. At some point in the last year, she developed some type of kidney problems that went untreated, and while she was being abused and neglected, it became too late to help her. The vet said that after everything he was hearing, because they called the police on Brother 4 for animal abuse, and he had kind of explained some of the situation, that she was not going to make it without suffering, and he decided just to put her down. Apparently the thing with Brother 1's daughter was about his severe bullying when they were younger. He actually never had much contact with her. It was about getting back at Brother 1 in the way he knew best. His daughter is going to be attending therapy just in case. I don't know what or how much they told her, but I assume they had to ask her questions about her contact with Ash, and eventually they would have had to explain what they were asking. I guess that's about it. I'm not leaving my husband. I'm not peeing on anybody's property. I'm going to therapy, and I made it very clear to absolutely everybody that I will never have any of them living with us for any reason. I don't care if the Pope is with them. I just feel like I lost a part of me that cared. And I guess all in all, I still did not receive an apology, but to be honest, I don't want it either. Perhaps my therapist will convince me otherwise, or perhaps it's for the best. But for now, I guess I'll just, deal with it as I can. Alright, here is part 2 to this story. Peegate, the Update 2, the sequel. Hello everyone, I just want to start off by saying thank you for the overwhelming amount of love and support I have received from internet strangers. All of the kind messages, and in general for the concern you have shown me and for my family. I will start answering messages soon, I promise. It's just been a hard couple of days. My therapist recommends writing in order to organize my feelings and help me process what has happened. And since some of you have shown interest, I guess this is as good of a diary as any. I figured a post-update would be a little bit easier to read for those curious of what happened next in the Peegate saga. It's been almost 2 weeks since I first opened the Pandora's box that is my husband's family, and all of you know how that went. I will be forever grateful to Reddit and all of you for helping me see that there were things that needed to be talked about and looked into, even if it did end up turning my life into a pee show. I also don't know how Twitter people ended up here, but I want to thank you all the same for the support. A lot of people asked the same questions, so here are the answers. My husband, My brothers-in-law and I, right now, don't really have it in me to deal with any of them except brother 6. He has always been my favorite, and in general, we should have taken a cue from him and distanced ourselves from the family. He truly has been the most supportive and apologetic about the whole ordeal. I did talk to brother 1 and his wife to offer help in any way that I could, and they politely declined, telling me that I had done enough. Wow. I don't know if they meant it backhandedly or honestly, but I'm still keeping my distance from all of them. Most of the other brothers apologized for everything. Some owned to their parts in this messed up situation, and some owned up to their past behaviors. I think the whole family is going to be financing the psychology field for a while. I did recommend that everyone should go to therapy because as much as I was the one who started this is something that affects the whole family as a whole. My mother-in-law. Some kind Redditors pointed out that she had probably been manipulated and abused her whole life, and I'm not going to deny or agree with that, but know that she did have a complicated life. We are no contact with her from here on out until the end of time, since she called us to berate us for breaking up the family. Her words were something along the lines of, "I have worked for years in order to have the lot of you together. I have forgiven every single thing each of you has done," talking to my husband, "and this is how you repay me by letting this little bee get in the way of our family." So, there is that. Ted, my husband, he's handling everything the best as he can. He is also in therapy and working through his feelings. He keeps apologizing over and over, and in general, I think seeing what his best bud did to me because of him will haunt him for a while. We read all of your comments together, and as much as he appreciated his redemption, he says he doesn't feel like he's earned it. That he has years to make up for. He also told me he understood if I wanted to divorce him. That he couldn't live with knowing his family had done this to his wife. I politely declined as I still love him very much, and know that this is not his fault. We'll see how therapy goes for him. Where Ash is now. He is still in psychiatric hold. He did ask to see Ted. That was a big no-no, and of course Ted declined. He did write him a letter though. I don't know what he said, nor do I want to know, but Ted assured me that I would never see him again. After it is considered safe, he will be transferred to the West Coast where the rest of the family can deal with him. We have washed our hands of him forever. Brother number 3 is the one who has been in charge of his care, and he thinks moving him far away from us is what's best for everyone. Ted and him have been talking about the doctor's reports, but I haven't wanted to ask, and that is okay. Taking a break. As many of you have suggested, we took a break. I quit one of my jobs and have been doing the other one from my dad's beach condo. Ted is using some of his vacation time, and his boss has been very understanding. It is in the middle of January, so not particularly nice weather outside, but looking at the water is soothing, and being away from all the crazy is nice. I got a new phone, so his family couldn't contact me anymore, and it's been nice just being the 3 of us. The cat goes where I go, for a couple of days. Future actions. I got an order of protection in the meantime. I don't know what precautions Brother 1 is taking for his daughter. I do know that he made her get rid of social media, though. If any further legal action is to be taken, that will have to come from them. We are also moving. I don't know to where, but neither of us feels like our place is home anymore. We'll start looking at houses closer to my family in the next few weeks. What's behind door number 2? I'm sorry to disappoint you, but there were no human body parts in meat hooks in the locked bathroom. There was, however, more of what was found in the master bathroom. I do not think he's a serial killer in the making, just very mentally disturbed with unhealthy coping mechanisms and very unhealthy emotional attachments. But I am not a professional and I cannot help him. I do think one Redditor had a very valid point of him hating women or viewing us as less, as he only did this thing towards women, me, my niece, and Sunny, his cat. But again, not a professional, so I cannot comment more on it. How am I doing? Some days have been better than others. I've had therapy every other day. Thank you to the Redditor who suggested going to the bathroom with headphones on with white noise machine. That was very helpful. My sisters are taking turns to come visit, so we have someone with us for a couple of hours in case we need anything. The backstory. Many people inquired about the type of bullying that they did to him in his childhood to justify this kind of messed upness. So here is Ted's statement on that. When you grow up with 8 brothers who are much older than you grow up to be very vulnerable to criticism, to comparisons, to expectations. Our brothers had many years when it was just them, and when the opportunity arose to take it out on someone else, he was the most vulnerable. I'm not trying to justify anyone's actions, nor am I defending anyone, but there were some things that even I couldn't protect him from, that now, as an adult, I can see how messed up they were, and with everything that has happened, I know my brothers have too. We all have demons that we are fighting, and we have been fighting our whole lives. We did not have a supportive family. Everything was buried under the rug instead of providing help that made us grow up disconnected from reality, from what is proper, and from what is healthy. Some of us have learned better thanks to our wives, jobs, and life experiences. All of us have a lot to learn still. But we cannot change the past, just own up to our mistakes and faults and try to be better tomorrow. Miscellaneous, a few random things that popped up. Why did no one check up on the cat before? We didn't have a reason to. Sunny, the cat, was not particularly social, so when they video called during quarantine, it made sense not to see her. We didn't go to visit anyone during the pandemic, so we didn't know the state of his things were going to be in. And before the pandemic, he was fine. His house was fine and the cat was fine. I don't know how we were supposed to know any of this was happening to go check on the cat or how we could have prevented it from happening. I'm sorry I failed an innocent cat and I will forever be guilty that I couldn't help her. What are the odds of there being 10 sons and 3 of them being able to drop everything and go to the other side of the country? There weren't always 10 sons. As for them dropping everything to come to the other side of the country, I don't know what you want. They identified how messed up the situation was, that their spouses could deal without them for a couple of days, that they were going to take off work and come, that their brother asked to help and they were able to help. I honestly don't know what you want from me with those questions. How didn't you see it coming? There had to be signs. You would have had to ask the family. As you already know, I'm not in good terms with them right now, and Ted says none that he noticed, but that his perception might be biased since they were so close, and that he might have either been oblivious to it or thought it was normal. So that's where my life is right now. I'm tired and sad, and things still are bad, but I also have things to look forward to. And a very nice therapist who constantly reassures me that I am okay and safe now, and is teaching me how to be normal again. Sorry for the very long update, and please know that I am grateful for all of your kindness and taking the time to read through my misadventures. I wish all of you, who have been nice, nothing but good things, and know that you will always have a friend here. And once I'm ready to be out in the world again, I'd be open to have more kind people like you in my life. Ellie, Ted, and Tortilla, the cat. Edit. I'm sorry I wasn't clearer about the 10 brother thing. Apparently I might have caused some confusion. What I meant to say is that there weren't always 10 sons only. It's not my family or my story to tell. But from what I know, they used to have 3 sisters. 2 of them died when they were little because of health issues. This is where the gap between 1 and 8 and Ted and Ash. The other one is a bit more complicated than that. She used to be between 4 and 5. Yes, I'm aware they had a lot of children. They do not believe in contraception to this day. Sorry about the confusion. Alright, OP. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and I'm really sorry to hear about all the misadventures here, as I'm sure everyone on here is as well. But thank you for sharing your story, and I wish nothing but the best for you. I hope everything works out. I hope that you can return to some level of normality at some point in time in the future. So yeah, it's a really sad situation. I'm really sorry to hear it. It sounds like your brother-in-law had some severe mental health issues that were aggravated by the pandemic, and things just kind of spiraled for him. It's a really sad situation. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Well, as much as you could. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the update. Take care, and I'll see you all tomorrow.